This is for the toast to the Twa Lands.
Here's to my wife. Happy birthday. I'm ready to wait for her to go down and pull it for the whole lot.
Good evening, everyone. The toast to the Twa Lands was not something either of us understood a few short months ago. However, since learning its meaning, Clara and I have had the most interesting conversations on our many trips back and forth from Elmora to Innisfail. We have also had great discussions with her siblings during drives, where we have all learned a lot about our heritage and how truly connected to Scotland our family is. You see, my grandma, Clara's GG Helen Pemberton, whose maiden name was Wilson, was born in Fife, Scotland in 1920. She later met a lovely Canadian fellow named Fred, and they became wed in October of 1943 during World War II. After starting their family in Scotland, Grandma made the long trek to Canada all on her own with a very young child and expecting child number 2, my Auntie Joan, who happens to be here tonight. I remember Grandma telling me stories of this voyage to Canada that ultimately landed her family in Manville, Alberta in 1945. I have many fond memories of my grandma and her love for so many things Scottish, but what I could have never known was that one day I would have this amazing symbol of Scotland of my own, our little ginger piper Clara. What I remember the absolute most about Grandma was that she had an enormous love for the sound of the bagpipes, as well as she had a soft spot in her heart for gingers. Sadly, Grandma passed away in 2006 when Clara was only 5 months old, and yet to this day, Clara is unknowingly passing on her GG Scottish heritage here in Canada. So, through the past few weeks, we have talked a lot about what sorts of things in our lives actually originated in Scotland. Now, I'm going to let Clara help me out with some of these things, but keep in mind, she herself carries that stubborn Scottish blood, and she has the red hair, and she's a little bit nervous to be up here. I'm not sure how, bagpipes isn't a problem for her. But I know she will use her loud voice so that you guys can all hear her, right, Clara?
Yes, Mom, I got this.
So, we talked about some foods that we know of. You know, things like mince. Now, not that mincemeat stuff that some of the non-Scottish people talk about. That got me really confused once at a friend's house. But the real mince and taties that my grandma and my mom used to always make. Also, the fish and chips. And of course, that delicious food that they served us in Elmora last week at their Robbie Burns
I
meal.
hope you don't mean the haggis.
No, Clara, I said delicious food.
Oh, the shortbread.
Yes. I can't believe you thought I meant haggis. The melt in your mouth shortbread. One day, I hope to find that perfect shortbread recipe. So hint, hint, if there's anyone out here that has that one, please feel free to share. Oh, and a little fun fact. Did you know that Gigi refused to eat corn all of her life?
No? Why?
She claimed corn was not for human seed. That's what they fed the pigs in Scotland.
Well, that's different. What about drinks, Mom? I'm sure you know a little about the drinks that are a bit Scottish. You know, like the beer and whiskey?
Yeah, maybe I know a little bit about those ones. For me, beer would be the choice of beverage. But a memory I certainly have of your Gigi was her love for whiskey. Now, to be fair, she actually drank rye when she came to Canada because, as Auntie Joan told me, she was too Scottish to spend the extra money on true Scotch whiskey.
Can't wait to try those for myself. And Mom, in our talks, I had no idea that so many of our sports our family plays actually originated in Scotland.
I know, I had no idea either. It's funny, as the more that we look things up, the more Scottish our family actually became.
Yeah, I mean, Mom, you and Dad both love to curl. All I know is how to toss that shot put, and whenever you do, stay clear if you're on the rugby pitch.
Yeah, and then there's the boys of our family. They all love a round of golf, and most of all, they love their hockey. Of course, they call hockey Canada's sport, but upon research that we did, many believe that it actually began while being played by a group of Scots in Atlantic Canada who were building off of the Scottish game shinty. Now, truth or not, who knows, but we're going to call that Scottish too. And crazy enough, the oldest standing ice hockey team in Scotland are actually called the Fife Flyers, right from my grandma's hometown.
And don't forget, Mom, we are just a little bit involved these days with Highland Games here in Canada.
Of course, Clara, we spend a good part of our summer now at Highland Games all over Alberta, and even hopefully into BC this coming year. It has become a favorite part of my summer where we get to hear the sounds of Scotland and stock up on some of the sweets that I grew up sneaking from my grandma's candy jar. I can honestly say it's a happy place for me. There's so much more that you and I have discussed on our drive that just show how Scotland is a part of our life here in Canada, eh, Claire?
Yes, and I'm so thankful that you offered me this kilt pin to wear on my kilt. My mom gave me this gross claw that was on my GG's kilt as a good luck charm during my piping competitions. And so far, it seems to be working rather well for me.
Yes, it's working very well, Clara. And since I gave you the kilt pin off of my kilt, I needed to replace it. So I choose to order myself a Gun Clan pin just a couple weeks ago in honor of my grandma and the Wilson family that she came from. I don't know why I was chosen to receive my grandma's kilt when she passed away, but I think it is perfect proof of how we will continue to pass on the Scottish heritage. My grandma was born in Scotland. She married a Canadian and came to Alberta, where she then chose to get a kilt for herself in the Alberta tartan, which was officially adopted in Alberta in 1961. This kilt was passed down to me complete with that grouse claw, and I have now passed that on to you so that you will always have it with you in order to carry on the amazing Scottish tradition of bagpiping. Clara, I'm grateful that you are passing on Scottish heritage and sharing it with everyone here tonight, as well as passing it on into another generation here in Canada. So with that, I ask you all to join us in memory of my grandma, Clara's GG Helen Pemberton, in